Hey, hey, how you doing? Right? Hey, Malcolm's toilet.
Hi, Michael. You're right.
Yeah, good, thanks. How you doing? Right? How's your weekend been?
Varnishing stuff while I'm in here. It was nice,
Yeah,
quite relaxing.
yeah. What do you get up to?
After, oh, what did I get up to? I went on a hill walk
Oh, yeah,
with a friend, proper Monroe. So it's been a while since I've done one of them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What was that like?
Well, it was quite a long walk to the bottom of it, and then it was, quite a slog.
All right, yeah, okay.
But that's the enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
No, it was fun. And then I hung out with Evan and Michael on the evening.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, yeah. How are they doing?
They're pretty good. Yeah. What else? As in, like, they were on form. It was good fun.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
And then
Was that in their garden or outside in the park or something?
I didn't hear that part. Sorry.
Was that in a garden or was that in a park somewhere?
With Evan and Michael, I'd been bubbling, um, so it was in theirs.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, hey, how you
I'm
doing? Right?
doing pretty well. How about yourself?
Good. Yeah, very well, thank you. All good. All good. Yeah.
Had myself a little lunch and now Storytime lunch break. I'm excited.
Ah, of course, because you're in Canada, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm way out on the west coast. It's 1 p.m. here.
Ah, okay. Wow, it's quite a difference. Okay. Yeah.
Just a little.
Hey, kitty. How's things?
Pretty good. I have a tiny dog here with me. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Let's have a look.
Anyway, he'll come back.
If they're
Okay.
okay with seeing us.
And I also ordered a label maker today,
That's not
and
a
now my
dog.
name is Frangipani. I've labeled
That's
myself.
great.
Rizzo?
Does the dog have a label on it?
Not yet.
If it stays still too long, it will.
Yes, exactly.
Just on the collar. That would probably stay there. It would stay.
It's a nice idea.
Yeah.
Rizzo?
Just label it dog.
That would be accurate. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Rizzo?
What else do you do with the label machine?
Sorry?
What else do you do with the label machine other than stating the bleeding obvious?
Yeah. Yeah. Computer.
I'm having a lot of fun, and that's the most important thing.
Keyboard.
Yeah, definitely.
To return the favor, Michael, what did you get to the weekend?
Oh, it was good. So I had lots of fun little things. So I met up with Andrea on Saturday morning, and we watched an episode of Pushing Daisies together, which I'd never seen before. That was a really cool show. Yeah, it was a really good show, and very kind of on trend with pandemics in terms of not being able to touch anyone.
I mean,
yeah, that was cute.
Puppy.
Hello. Then yeah, played games on Sunday. That was nice.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah, just lots of little things really. Watched a new series of Strictly Come Dancing on Saturday evening. That was good, seeing who's got paired with who. Bill Bailey was classic. That was good.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So Shira, what's going on in Canada? What have you been up to lately? Am I saying your name right as well?
Ashra, yes.
Ashra, fabulous. Thanks. Cool.
Yeah, working mostly. I'm a pension administrator, so I'm at home every second day. So
nice. Okay.
At home today, and
yeah.
So bringing on a new client. So there's been a lot of work to be done. I don't know.
I'm getting distracted by the cute dog.
Oh my goodness, it is so adorable.
So yeah, how do you know Em?
We went to university together and recently reconnected, and been chatting a bit, and this sounded lovely and has been lovely so far.
Yeah. So were you here? Was it poetry you joined on?
No, I was here yesterday and then last Wednesday. I did miss poetry, unfortunately.
Okay. Wow.
But I've been doing book clubs and Zoom, a lot of Zoom stuff. It's been a lot of Zoom, but I feel like that's everyone's life right now.
Yeah, pretty much. It's all good. So on when you met Em, was that on the same course, or was it like a same social hobby, or?
Yeah, we had a couple of courses together, and we went to like the same business school within the university. So
Nice.
just
Okay.
kind of clicked and hung out. And yeah.
Okay.
It's just, I think it's most like people know each other through dancing here. Yeah.
That tends to be the common link. Yeah. Hey Megan, how are you, Aaron?
Hi. I'm wondering what Malcolm's doing.
Malcolm, are you painting?
Varnishing in my bathroom.
He's doing his Karate Kid special.
I couldn't see any paint, so I thought you were just like practicing like wand movements or like brushing an invisible person's hair.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, would you
We
not
could
have done
retell
others?
story to say that is exactly what I'm doing.
Look at all your new bookshelves, Frankie.
Yeah, I'm just still in the process of filling them. So I've gone from 2 to 4.
Panoramic bookcases.
Mm-hmm. There's still not enough. I still got.
I feel that.
I've got like 5 big piles of books that I have nowhere to put them. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. But
feel that. I might have a few more books than shelves at the moment as well.
Third world problems.
Kitty,
it's real.
Kitty, I raise your dog and show you snow.
Wow.
Oh my god, Kitty has a dog?
Everybody, meet Rizzo, aka Chorizo, aka Pepperoni. And he is a wire-haired dachshund, and he's very small, and he has no money, so you can understand the pressure he's under.
Is he a good boy?
Sometimes.
Hello, are you a good boy?
He's a way to see what the sound of a flushing toilet means. Yeah, he's still very small and he doesn't understand things.
Is he yours?
No, we're looking after him until Thursday. He is my friend Julie's. Yeah, he's very small, like unbelievably small. His little paws and his legs are like.
God. How have you resisted the urge to put him in a hot dog bun and just eat him up?
That sounds gross and hairy.
Well, you know that saying about when you see how the sausage is made? That, but him trying to eat bird shit in the park.
He's a filth wizard.
A filth wizard. Oh, wizard. Like, is that a thing?
Megan, where in the world are you to have snow?
Oh, I'm in my office.
Where is your office there? Which country?
Oh, where in the world? I see what you're saying. Where in the world? Minnesota. I'm like, where am I? Yes, I made the leap, even though I'm now trapped in the US. I needed to see my family and my dog. So
that's sweet. That's understandable.
Ireland will still let me in. It's fine.
Hi, Gordon. Hi, Gordon. Who we got?
Hello. Hey, Katie.
Hey, Katie. Hi, Jen. Hi, Michael. Hi, Ariane. Cozy, cuddled Ariane. You look very cozy, my love. Look at this cozy little face.
But it's too tantalizing because she's put her camera where like your face would be if you were in bed with her.
Oh.
It isn't fair.
That is very tantalizing. How's everyone's days been? Somebody tell me what they have been up to today.
Eating chocolate brownies.
Okay, you're winning.
Yeah.
We have a new candidate for winning today.
I freaked out my next door neighbour.
What did you
Oh
do?
my goodness,
dear.
what?
I went round and said, "Can I borrow a protractor from one of your daughters, please?"
Okay.
I now temporarily own a protractor.
Oh,
Excellent. Mission accomplished.
Did he
Was
think
that just to like break the ice, or do you need a protractor? for
No, I
something?
need a protractor.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, what's a protractor?
It is a device for measuring angles.
What?
it's the scientific version of a cup of sugar.
Hi, Vina. Hi,
I finished my embroidery today.
Oh,
Finally. So it's a secret. You can't tell if you know Dara and Lee, you can't tell them. I don't know if you can.
oh, it's so cute.
that's incredible.
That's so very cute.
God, that's so
The fortune is being there on the day they got engaged.
Aw.
And this is a photo from, well, it's not a photo obviously, but this is how they were sitting, and
That is so cute.
amazing.
That's so cute. It's so well done.
Oh. Yeah, man.
I started it when you were reading about embroidery to us. They at Kitty and Rory's I've forgotten the name of it. 10,000.
Oh,
that's
the
the nice
1001 nights.
Yeah.
Oh, exciting. Oh, who's that? What is that?
Tis my dinosaur.
It was Andrada and her teacup.
It was me, sorry.
Oh.
I've just muted them both.
Harsh but fair.
I believe I am a god.
Things away of Zach. Hi, Michael. Hi,
Yeah.
Michael.
Hey guys.
Hi, Zach. Hi, sweetie.
Gordon.
Frankie, your books look so lovely behind you. Have you already set up another bookshelf?
I set up 2 new bookshelves. I went to IKEA today and I bought 2 new bookshelves. And so I finished, or I stopped putting books on them about 5 minutes ago. So I am not prepared tonight.
Did you get the rest of your books in there in the end?
No,
Frank has his enormous eyes. You just said bookshelf and it was...
I still have 3 big piles of recipe books and a pile of Shakespeare and 3 miscellaneous piles of books that I forgot about, plus my stack of potential Storytime books. So I don't know. I have a horrible suspicion I'm going to have to take all of the books off the shelf and put them all back on.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No. They're all on my bed as well at the moment, so I want to do it before I can sleep tonight.
Hey, Lisa.
Life is pain. Oh my God, Zach! Ah!
And the secret stash.
Why would
Forgotten
you do that?
stash.
Yep, I haven't had dinner.
Oh no.
I haven't had dinner. I'm too busy playing.
Did you just say you haven't had dinner? Frankie,
I know.
come and live here. I will feed you. It's
please.
not okay to get to this point in the evening and not having had dinner.
No, being neglected.
You're neglecting yourself,
I am neglecting
which is the
myself.
worst sort of neglect.
And you don't seem like the kind of person who would forget food lightly.
I know. Well, I mean, you know, food, books, like this is there are a few things in the world that I would forget to feed myself for, but playing with my books, it's
Normally forget to feed yourself.
Zach, why would you expose me like this?
You just forget and then you make what you're craving in the moment.
It's true.
That's what I do here.
So long as you don't start eating books.
Now, listen, you beautiful people. I must ask. What time is it?
I've been telling you for ages.
Oh,
Nobody's been listening to me.
I'm so sorry, Katie.
I was listening, Katie.
I got too carried away about dinner and things. That's no excuse. I'm very sorry. Now, well, we can redress this. And I'll start by muting you all. Now. Okay. Everybody remember where we left this? Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Trees fall in the forest and make sounds. The horde moves among them, judging, swinging axes, bowing bass notes from pine trunks with saws. 5 years back, none of these warriors had seen such a forest. In their homestand, sacred groves were called Zun Mod, which means 100 trees, because 100 were all the trees they thought might be gathered in one place. Many more than 100 trees stand here, a quantity so vast no one dares number it. Wet, cold wind spills down the mountains, and branches clatter like locust wings. Warriors creep beneath needled shadows and go about their work. Icicles drip and snap as the great trees fall, and felled, the trees leave gaps in green that bear the cold white sky. Warriors like those flat clouds better than the forest's gloom, but not so much as they loved the blue of home. They loop the trunks with cord and drag them through trampled underbush to the camp, where they will be peeled and planed to build the great Khan's war machines. A strange transformation, some feel. When they were young, they won their first battles with bows from horseback, 10 men against 20, 200 against 3. Then they learned to use rivers against their foes, to tear down their walls with grappling hooks. These days they roll from town to town collecting scholars, priests and engineers, everyone who can read or write or knows a trade, and set them tasks. You will have food, water, rest, all the luxury an army on hoof can offer. In exchange, solve the problems our enemies pose. Once, horsemen broke on fortifications like waves against a cliff. Most of these men have not seen waves or cliffs, but travellers bear stories from distant lands. Now the horsemen slaughter foes, drive them to their forts, demand surrender, and, should surrender not ensue, they raise up their engines to undo the knot of the city. But those engines need lumber, so off the warriors are sent to steal from ghosts. Red, hard-ridden for days, dismounts within the wood. She wears a thick grey dell belted with silk around her waist, and a fur hat covers her hair, preserving her scalp from the chill. She walks heavily. She broadens her shoulders. She has played this role for at least a decade. Women ride with the horde, but she is a man now, so far as those who give her orders and follow hers in turn are concerned. She commits the enterprise to memory for her report. Her breath smokes, glitters as ice crystals freeze. Does she miss steam heat? Does she miss walls and a roof? Does she miss the dormant implants sewn through her limbs and tangled in her chest that could shore her against this cold, stop her feeling, seal a force field around her skin to guard her from this time to which she's been sent? Not really. She notes the deep green of the trees. She measures the timing of their fall. She records the white of the sky, the bite of the wind. She remembers the names of the men she passes. Most of them are men. 10 years into deep cover, having joined the horde, proven her worth, and achieved the place for which she strove, she feels suited to this war. She has suited herself to it. Others draw back from her in respect and fear as she scans the piled logs for signs of rot. Her roan snorts, stamps the earth. Red ungloves and traces the lumber with her fingertips, log by log, ring by ring, feeling each one's age. She stops when she finds the letter. Kneels. The others gather round. What has disturbed her so? An omen? A curse? Some flaw in their lumberjackery? The letter begins in the tree's heart. Rings, thicker here and thinner there, form symbols in an alphabet no one present knows but read. The words are small, sometimes smudged, but still, 10 years per line of text, and many lines. Mapping routes, depositing or draining nutrients year by year, the message must have taken a century to craft. Perhaps local legends tell of some fairy or frozen goddess in these woods, seen for an instant, then gone. Red wonders what expression she wore as she placed the needle. She memorizes the message. She feels it ridge by ridge, line by line, and performs a slow arithmetic of years. Her eyes change. The men nearby have known her for a decade, but have never seen her look like this. One asks, "Should we throw it away?" She shakes her head. It must be used. She does not say, or else another might find it and read what I have read. They drag the logs to camp. They split them, trim them, plane them, frame them into engines of war. 2 weeks later, the planks lie shattered around the fallen walls of a city still burning, still weeping. Progress gallops on, and blood remains behind. Vultures circle, but they've feasted here already. The seeker crosses the barren land, the broken city. She gathers splinters from the engine's wrecks, and as the sun sets, she slides those splinters one by one into her fingers. Her mouth opens, but she makes no sound. My perfect red. How many boards would the Mongols hoard if the Mongol horde got bored? Perhaps you'll tell me once you're finished with this strand. The thought that you could have trapped me, stranded me, perhaps, oh dear, sorry, not sorry, is so delicious that I confess myself quite overcome. Do you always play things safe, then? Run the numbers so precisely that you can reject out of hand any scenario that has a projected success rate of less than 80%? It grieves me to think you'd make a boring poker player. But then I imagine you'd cheat, and that's a comfort. I'd never want you to let me win, the very idea. I wore goggles, but imagine, please, the widening of my eyes at your sweet interrogation in strand 8827. Did my bosses send me there? Do I have bosses? A suggestion of corruption in my command chain, a charming concern for my well-being. Are you trying to recruit me, dear cochineal? And then we'd be at each other's throats even more. Oh, Petal, you say that like it's a bad thing. It occurs to me to dwell on what a microcosm we are of the war as a whole, you and I. The physics of us. An action and an equal and opposite reaction. My viney, hivey elf world, as you say, versus your techie-mechie dystopia. We both know it's nothing so simple, any more than a letter's reply is its opposite. But which egg preceded which platypus? The ends don't always resemble our means. But enough philosophy. Let me tell you what you have told me, speaking plain. You could have killed me, but didn't. You have acted without the knowledge or sanction of your agency. Your vision of life in Garden is sufficiently full of silly stereotypes to read as a calculated attempt at provoking a stinging, unguarded response. Hilarious, given how long it took me to grow these words, but spoken with such keen beauty as to suggest a confession of real, curious ignorance. We do have superb honey. Best eaten in a thickness of comb, spread on warm bread with soft cheese in a cool part of the day. Do your kind eat any more? Is it all tubes and intravenous nutrition, metabolisms optimized for fast-strand food? Do you sleep, Red, or dream? Let me also speak plain before this tree runs out of years, before the fine fellows under your command make siege weapons of my words. What do you want from this, Red? What are you doing here? Tell me something true, or tell me nothing at all. Best, Blue. P.S. I'm touched by the research effort expended on my behalf. Mrs. Levitt's guide is a good one. Now that you've discovered postscripts, I look forward to what you could do with scented inks and seals. P.P.S. There's no trick here, no thwart. Give my best to this strand's Genghis. We lay on our backs and watched clouds together when we were young. Blue sees her chosen name reflected everywhere around her. Moon-slicked flows, ocean thick with drift ice, liquid churned to glass. She munches a piece of dry biscuit on deck while the ship's hands sleep, dusts the crumbs off her mitts and watches them fall into the white-flecked pitch of the waters. The schooner's name is the Queen of Fairyland, carrying a full complement of hunters eager to stack scalps in the hold, hungry for what fur and flesh and fat will buy them in the off-season. Blue's interest is partly in oil, but chiefly in the deployment of new steam technologies. There is a staggering of outcomes to achieve, a point off which to tip the industry, a rudder with which to steer these ships between the Scylla of one doom and the Charybdis of another, onto a course that leads to Garden. 7 strands tangle on the collapse or survival of this fishery. Insignificant to some eyes, everything to others. Some days Blue wonders why anyone ever bothered making numbers so small. Other days she supposes even infinity needs to start somewhere. Those days rarely happen while on a mission. Who can speak of what Blue thinks on a mission, when missions are often whole lives, when the story spun for her to wield a hunter's hook is years in the making? So many roles, dresses, parties, trousers, intimacies rolled into grasping a berth and bundling into shapeless clothes to keep Newfoundland's winter at bay. The horizon blinks and morning yawns above it. Hunters spill over the schooner's side, Blue among them. They sweep across the ice, tools in hand, laughing, singing, striking skulls and splitting skins. Blue has hauled 3 skins on board when a big, brash beater catches her eye. It raises its head in threat for all of half a second before bolting for the water. Blue is faster. The beater's skull breaks like an egg beneath her club. She drops into a crouch beside it to inspect the pelt. The sight hits her like a hackapick. There in the ice-rimed fur, mottled and marked as hand-pulped paper, spots and speckles resolve into a word she can read. Blue. Her hand does not shake as she slices into the skin. Her breath comes even. She's kept her gloves clean for the most part, but now she stains them, red as a name. Buried in the depths of glistening viscera is a dry piece of cod, undigested, scratched and grooved with language. She hardly realizes that she'd settled her body onto the ice, cross-legged, comfortable, as if tea, not seal guts, steamed dark and fragrant beside her. She'll keep the pelt. The cod she'll crush to powder, sprinkle over rancidly buttered biscuit and eat for dinner. The body she'll dispose of in the usual way. When the seeker comes hard and fast on her trail, all that's left is a smear of dark red on blue snow. On hands and knees, she licks and sucks and chews until all the colour's gone. My dear Mood Indigo, I apologise for, well, everything. It's been a long time from my perspective, and I'm afraid yours, since your letter. I had another decade or so with Genghis, who says hi, by the way. He told me the most interesting stories about you, or I assume it was you. After action reports following, and after those I had the usual sort of routine rebraiding dance. An assessment wrapped the whole thing up. I passed, as ever. The usual nonsense. I imagine you have something of the same. The agency squats far down thread, issues agents up, then Commandant doubts the agents who return. Yes, we diverge in our travels. Yes, we acquire shades. We round. We behave asocially. Adaption is the price of victory. You might think they would realise that. I spent the better part of a year recovering from your so-called sense of humour. Hordes and boards. I consulted the literature on scents and wax seals, as you suggest. It's all a bit counterintuitive, this business of communication through base matter. Closing a letter, a physical object without even a ghost in the cloud, all that data on one frail piece of paper, with an even more malleable substance, bearing of all things an ideographic signature, informing any handler of the message's sender, her role, perhaps even her purpose. Madness from operational security perspective. But, as the prophets say, there ain't no mountain high enough, so I've essayed the work here. I hope you enjoyed your waxed seal. I didn't supply any extra scent, but the medium has a savour all its own. There's a kind of time travel in letters, isn't there? I imagine you laughing at my small joke. I imagine you groaning. I imagine you throwing my words away. Do I have you still? Do I address empty air and the flies that will eat this carcass? You could leave me for 5 years. You could return never. And I have to write the rest of this not knowing. I prefer read receipts, all things considered. The instant handshake of slow telepathy through our wires. But this is a fascinating technology in its limits. You ask if we eat. It's a hard question to answer. There is no mono we. there are many us's. The us's change and interleave. Have you ever stared into the workings of a watch? I'm talking about a really, really good watch. If you want to see what I mean, climb down thread to 33rd century CE Ghana. Limited Unlimited in Accra does wonderful pieces with translucent nanoscale gears, no larger than grains of sand. Teeth invisibly small, actions and counteractions and complications. They break light like a kaleidoscope. And they keep good time. There's one of you, but so many of us. Pieces layered on top pieces, each with its own traits, desires, purposes. One person may wear different faces in different rooms. Minds swap bodies for sport. Everyone is anything they want. The agency opposes a modicum of order. So, do we eat? I do. I don't need to. We grow in pods, our basic knowledge flashed in cohort by cohort, nutrient balance maintained by the gel bath, and there most of us stay, our minds flitting disembodied through the void from star to star. We live through remotes, explore through drones, the physical world but one of many, and uninteresting by comparison to most. Some do decant and wander, but they can sustain themselves for months on a charge, and there's always a pod to go back to when you want it. All of this refers mostly to civilians, of course. Agents need more independent modes of operation. We are separate from the mass, and we move in our own bodies. It's easier that way. Eating's gross, isn't it? In the abstract, I mean. When you're used to hyperspace recharging stations, to sunlight and cosmic rays, when most of the beauty you've known lies in a great machine's heart, it's hard to see the appeal of using bones that poke from spit-coated gums to mash things that grew in dirt into a paste that will fit down the wet tube, connecting your mouth to the sack of acid under your heart. Takes the new recruits a long time to get used to once they're decanted. But I enjoy eating these days. More of us do than care to admit it publicly. I revel in it, as one only revels in pursuits one does not need. The runner enjoys running when she needs not flee a lion. Sex improves when decoupled, from animalistic procreative desperation, or even from the desperation of not having had sex in a while, as I've had cause to note after my recent 2-decade sojourn and attendant dry spell. I bite blueberry pancakes drizzled with maple syrup, extra butter. That expanding fluff, the berries pop against my teeth, butters bloom in my mouth. I explore sweetnesses and textures. I'm never hungry, so I don't race to the next bite. I eat glass, and as it cuts my gums, I savor minerals, metals, impurities. I see the beach from which some poor bastard skimmed the sand. Small rocks taste of the river, of rubbed fish scale, of glaciers long gone. They crunch, crisp, celery-like. I share the sensation with fellow aficionados. They share theirs with me, though there's lag and sensor granularity remains an issue. So, a roundabout way of saying, I love to eat. Probably too much. I seldom can in public, back at the agency. Commandant starts asking questions if you do. Jaunts up thread to places where they eat all the time feel decadent. How about you? I don't mean necessarily how do you eat, though if you want to fill me in, be my guest. Your descriptions of honey and bread, thank you for that. I've described a bit our overlapping models, communities, public and private, shared interests, shared senses. What's it like to be a part of yours? Do you have friends, Blue? And how? You asked me to tell truths. I have. What do I want? Understanding, exchange, victory, a game, hiding and discovery. You're a swift opponent, Blue. You play long odds. You run the table. If we're to be at war, we might as well entertain one another. Why else did you taunt me at the start? Yours, Red. P.S. Cochineal! I get it now. Atlantis sinks. Serves it right. Red hates the place. For one thing, there are so many Atlantises, always sinking in so many strands. An island off Greece, a mid-Atlantic continent, an advanced pre-Minoan civilization on Crete, a spaceship floating north of Egypt, on and on. Most strands lack Atlantis altogether, know the place only through dreams and mad poets' madder whispers. Because there are so many, Red cannot fix just one, or fail to. Sometimes it seems strands bud Atlantises to thwart her. They conspire. History makes common cause with the enemy. 30, 40 times throughout her career, she has walked away from some sinking, burning island, thinking, at least that's over. 30, 40 times the call has come. Go back. At the foot of the volcano, the dark-skinned Atlanteans seek their ships. A mother carries her screaming son in one arm, clutches her daughter by the hand. Father follows. He bears their household gods. Tears streak the soot on his face. A priestess and a priest remain with their temple. They will be burned. They have lived their lives as sacrifices to... who again? Red has lost track. She feels bad about that. They live their lives as sacrifices. Gods and children first, they fill the boats. As the earth shakes and the sky burns, even the bravest and most single-minded leave their work. Notes and sums and new engines remain behind. They take people and art. The math will burn, the engines melt, the arches fall to dust. This is not even one of the weirder Atlantises. No crystals here, no flying cars, no perfect governments, no psychic powers. Though those last two things don't exist anyway. And yet, that man built a steam and pinwheel engine 6 centuries earlier than the mean. This woman, through reason and ecstatic meditation, discerned the usefulness of zero to her mathematics. This shepherd built freestanding arches into the walls of his house. Small touches, ideas so fundamental they seem useless. Nobody here knows their worth, yet. But if they do not perish on this island, someone might realize their use a few centuries earlier and change everything. So Red tries to give them time. Her implants glow bright crimson to vent heat. They sear her flesh. She sweats buckets, growls, glowers. She pushes herself here. Island savings, not a one-woman job, so she works harder than one woman can. She rolls enormous boulders to break the coming lava flows. She ploughs new fake riverbeds with her hands. With the tools at her disposal, she breaks rocks and forms their pieces into other rocks elsewhere. The volcano quakes and splits, vomits rock into the air. A stone pine of soot sprouts from its peak. She sprints uphill, a streak of skin and light. The lava shimmers, bubbles, spits. Some lands near her. She steps aside. The ash-green sea reflects the royal black sky. The last cormorants flee, darkness against dark. Red searches for a sign. She is missing something. She does not know what. She ponders skies and ocean for a while, wonders. While Red looks away, a gob of lava splashes towards her face. She catches it in her palm without looking. Her skin, if it were the sort of skin the panicked villagers below wear around their meat, should char. It is not. Does not. Too long watching. She turns back to the caldera, to the welling lava. She stops. Black and gold vein the rising red. Some sun's surface look like this when she visits them on shore leave. That's not what arrests her. The shifting colours form words that last mere moments, in handwriting now familiar. As the lava flows, those words change. She reads. Her lips frame syllables one by one. She commits the words the fire frames to the old kind of memory. There are cameras in her eyes, which she does not use for this. A recording mechanism clamps around the strand of fibre in her skull, which might be mistaken for an optic nerve. She turns it off, which the agency does not think she can do. The lava overflows its lip. She had meant to break this high promontory on which she stands, to make a sort of spout, spilling molten rock down her predetermined channel. Rather, she stands and watches. Below, the village burns. Without her capstone effort at the peak, the dikes and redoubts work less well, but the mathematician still has time to grab her wax tablets at least. The boats leave. They get far enough away to survive the earthquake wave as their homes tumble into the sea. Red has not quite failed. She shakes her head and walks away, hoping this is the last Atlantis they will send her back to save. She remembers. The volcano stills. Winds part the clouds in time and leave the sky blue. The seeker scrambles up the slick and barren hill. Strands of thin, glistening volcanic glass cluster near the cooling lava. In another time and place, they will be called Peel's hair. The seeker gathers them by hand, like flowers, humming. My careful cardinal, let me tell you a secret. I loathe Atlantis. Every single last Atlantis across all strands. It's a putrid thread. Everything you've likely been taught about Garden and My Shift should lead you to believe we treasure it as a bastion of good works, the original Platonic ideal for how a civilization ought to be. How many bright-eyed adolescents have poured the fervour of their souls into lives imagined there? Magic, infinite wisdom, unicorns, the gods themselves made flesh. The work we do to maintain these notions is more subtle than you might think, given the publishing peccadilloes of a dozen 20th centuries. What a robust priesthood Atlantis must have had to support so many earnest young things pitching their past lives at its temples. But what a dreary place. Stagnant, sick as a sucking wound. A successful experiment with disgusting results. The volcano was the best thing to ever happen to it. Now it's legend, possibility, mystery. A far more generative engine than anything it developed over a few thousand years. That's what we treasure. That's us, always. The volcano and the wave. Thank you for your words on eating. After weeks of ship's biscuit, they were especially welcome. I should tell you, as Mrs. Levitt would, that it's customary to send letters that can be opened without ruining the seal, but I appreciate your innovation more than I can say. What I can say, it was very cold out on the ice. Your letter warmed me. Your talk of ideographic signatures and operational security brought to mind some grooming work I did among a few strands worth of Bess of Hardwick's botanists. While there, it was my pleasure to observe correspondence between them and their lady. Just how layered and complex plain speech could be, how many secrets wrapped in the banner of sincerity, a word commonly invented in 16th centuries. Even that ideographic signature could easily be a lie, of course. Counterfeit stamps, sealed letters hidden under separate cover, the wrong colour of wax or silk flossing. How much glorious double talk took place while Mary, Queen of Scots, was under her roof. I assure you that cryptography pales in comparison. Imagine a cipher made up of interlocking moods, shifting in response to environmental stimuli. Also, standardized spelling wasn't yet a feature of English. Forging someone's handwriting was wasted effort if you didn't also learn their idiosyncratic orthography. Funnily enough, that would prove to be the undoing of latter century forgers. Chatterton, that marvellous boy, etc. We make so much of lettercraft literal, don't we? Waxed seals aside. Letters as time travel, time-travelling letters. Hidden meanings. I wonder what you see me saying here. Absent from your mention of food, so sweet, so savoury, was any mention of hunger. You spoke of the lack of need, yes. No lion in pursuit, no animalist procreative desperation, and these lead to enjoyment, certainly. But hunger is a many-splendid thing. It needn't be conceived only in limbic terms, in biology. Hunger, Red. To sate a hunger or to stoke it, to feel hunger as a furnace, to trace its edges like teeth. Is this a thing you, singly, know? Have you ever had a hunger that whetted itself on what you fed it, sharpened so keen and bright that it might split you open, break a new thing out? Sometimes I think that's what I have instead of friends. I hope it isn't too hard to read this. Best I could do on short notice. Hope it reaches you before the island breaks around you. Write to me in London next. Blue. London next, the same day, month, year, but one strand over, is the kind of London other Londons dream. Sepia-tinted, skies strung with dirigibles, the viciousness of empire acknowledged only as a rosy backdrop glow redolent of spice and petalled sugar. Mannered as a novel, filthy only where story requires it, all meat pies and monarchy. This is a place Blue loves and hates herself for loving. She sits in a Mayfair tea house in a corner, back to the wall with one eye on the door. Some spycraft rules transcend both time and space, and the other on a stylized map of the New World. She finds it slightly incongruous. The tea house favours a decidedly Orientalist aesthetic, but eclecticism is one of the many things Blue cherishes about the fibres of this particular strand. Her hair now is black and thick and long, deftly styled into a high chignon girdled in braids, carefully twisted curls clustering at her nape, drawing attention to the length and slope of her neck. Her dress is modest and neat, not quite at the cutting edge of fashion. It's been a couple of years since the princess line was new, but she suits it in charcoal grey. She is not here to play a role. She is here to be invisible. She has observed with pleasure the very fine china of which the establishment boasts. Messon's Ming dragon, sinuous as arteries, persimmon bright against gilt-edge boned white. She looks forward to her own pot, anticipates the dark, smoky, malty path her chosen tea will pick between the notes of candied rose, delicate bergamot, champagne and muscat and violet. Her server arrives, quietly, unobtrusively laying out the Messon tiered cake tray, teapot, sugar bowl. As she settles the teacup on its saucer, however, Blue's hand snaps out to circle her retreating wrist. The server looks terrified. "This set," says Blue, adjusting, softening her eyes into kindness, her grip into a caress, "is mismatched." "I'm so sorry, miss," says the server, biting her lip. "I'd already made the pot, but the cup was cracked, and I thought you'd not want to wait longer for your tea. And all the other sets were spoken for on account of its busy time of day, but if you're happy to wait, I could—" "No," she says, and her smile is like clouds parting. The withdrawal of her hand into her lap is an erasure. The thing the server imagined, surely. This woman is a perfect picture of a lady. "It's very beautiful. Thank you." The server ducks her head and retreats back into the kitchen. Blue stares intently at the teacup, its saucer and spoon. Blue Italian. Classical figures harvesting grain, carrying water forever beneath the rim. She pours her tea, delicately, without straining the leaves. She lifts her teaspoon to the light, can see that it's coated with a down thread substance she thinks she recognises, but sniffs to be sure. She wills herself not to look around, commands every atom of her body into stillness, forbids the need to leap into the kitchen and pursue and hunt and catch. Instead, she stirs the spoon, empty, into the tea, and watches as the leaves unclump, swirl, spindle into letters. Each rotation is slow, and she marks paragraph breaks with small sips. Every sip undoes the letters until she swirls them into meaning again. Briefly, she wonders if the hardness in her throat is poison, her inability to swallow around it anaphylactic. This does not frighten her. She closes her eyes against the alternative, which does. When the tea and letter are finished, clumps remain. She reads the dregs as a postscript. Easy enough to do when the New World map matches it so precisely. Easy to read the discrepancy as direction. She dabs at her mouth, lifts the teacup, places it upside down beneath the boot of her heel and grinds it so hard and swift that its destruction makes no sound. After she's gone, the seeker, dressed as help, armed with dustpan and brush, collects the remnants, gathers them like rosebuds. When she is out of sight, she cuts the mix of clay and bone and leaf into 3 tidy lines, tightly rolls up a banknote, and inhales sharply enough to feel smoke behind her eyes. Dearest 0000FF. Common cause on Atlantis, who would have thought? I suppose no thread's one thing. They train us full confident in that knowledge. Each has facets, hooks, barbs, useful in different ways depending on articulation. The novice believes a single change will make a thread thus or thus, an event, An evasion or a spasm or a sigh is like a hammer, one side blunt and perfect for driving nails, the other clawed to pry them free. And like hammers, you store Atlantises out of sight when not in use. Stick them in a drawer somewhere safe till the next need comes around. I wonder, in that light, how much of your work has helped me, and the other way round. A question beyond my calculative capacity. I'd ask the Chaos Oracle, but I have enough trouble with the higher-ups at present. I had to step fast after your last letter caught me napping. Commandant wanted explanations, as Commandant tends to, after the sinking island took so many treasures with it. A brief lapse in efficiency, according to the agency's models, but well within tolerance considering my track record. But added to the inroads your sides made against our more exposed deep cover teams, well, I shouldn't talk shop. What a bore, your tea salon pals would say. I summarise. It's been too long since my last letter. Strand 233's Atlantis was not the most offensive of the brood, and I spent little enough time there. Joke as I might, I see the value. Humans need marks to strive for, but imperfect systems decay. So we build them ideals. Change agents climb up thread, find helpful strands, preserve what matters and let what doesn't fall to dust. Mulch for the more perfect future's seed. Mrs. Levitt suggests relying on metaphors one's correspondent, that's you, I think, will find meaningful. I confess, I don't entirely know what's meaningful to you. I fall back on assumptions, seeds and grass, growing things. It verges on stereotype. And when you write me, you write in furnace and in flame. You ask about hunger. You ask in particular about my hunger. The short answer, no. The longer answer, I don't think so. We sate needs before they strike. In this body, an organ, a designed, implanted, rigorously tested organ, seated somewhere above my stomach, registers the moment my metabolism requires fuel and stops the lizard-brained old subsystems that would make me keen and irritable and blunt my thoughts. All those tricks Dame Evolution plays to make us hunters, killers, seekers and finders and gorgers. I can disable the organ when I must, but it's so much more stable to receive a status report than to feel weak. But the hunger you describe, that blade jutting from the skin, the weathering as of a hillside often struck by storm, the hollowness, it sounds beautiful and familiar. When I was a girl, I loved reading. An archaic pastime, I know. The index and download are faster, more efficient, offering superior retention and acquisition of knowledge. But I read. Antique volumes handed down and fresh replicated books. How strange to uncover things in sequence. And so I read a comic book once about Socrates. In the comic book, he was a soldier. He was, that part's true, I asked him. And one night, as his fellows lay down to sleep, he started thinking. He stood immobile, lost in thought until the dawn, at which instant he found the answer to his question. It all seemed very romantic to me at the time. So I left my pod and wandered up thread and far away, far from the chatter and the mutual observation. I found a hilltop on a small world, breathable but barren, and I stood there like Socrates in the comic book, lost in thought, weight on one foot, and I did not move. The sun set. The stars rose. They are a rose, right? Or something? Dante said that. I realized that as my ears grew used to the silence, I could still hear the others. Our chatter swarmed the heavens, our voices echoed from the stars. This was not how Socrates stood, or Li Bai, or Lu Quan either. My isolation, my experiment, had caused a small sensation among those who cared for me, and for whom I cared, and that sensation spread. Lenses and eyes turned upon me. I was, I think, 13. I received suggestions, philosophy textbooks, meditation guides, offers of practice and alliance. They crowded round. Whispers in my ears. Are you okay? Do you need help? You can talk to us. You always can. There were tears. Other organs bind that process too, weeping. They keep our eyes clear and minds sharp, but chemistry is chemistry. Cortisol, cortisol. It feels harder to write than it should. It feels easier to write than it should as well. I'm contradicting myself. The geometers would be ashamed. I sent them away. Each being's entitled to her privacy, so I refused to let them see me. I was the only person on that tiny rock, and I made the world go dark. Wind blows. High places grow cold at night. Sharp rocks hurt my feet. For the first time in 13 years, I was alone. I, whatever I was, whatever I am, tumbled first up into the stars, then down to the broken land. I dug into the soil. Night birds called. Something like a wolf, but solitary and larger, with 6 legs and double-banked eyes, padded past. The tears dried. And I felt lonely. I missed those voices. I missed the minds behind them. I wanted to be seen. That need dug into the heart of me. It felt good. I'm not certain how to compare this to something you would know, but imagine a person melded to a thing, an artificial god the size of mountains, built for making war in the far corners of the cosmos. Imagine that great weight of metal all around her, pressing her down, giving her strength, its hoses melding with her flesh. Imagine she shears the hoses off, steps out, frail, sapped, weak, free. I was light, hollowed, hungry. The sun rose. I found no revelation. I'm not Socrates. I know Socrates. I served with Socrates, and you, Senator. But I digress. But I walked on from that place to another, and from that to another in turn, until years later, I came home. And when Commandant found me, slid inside me, said, "There's work for those like you," I wondered if all agents were like me. They weren't. I found that later. But we're all deviant in our different ways. Is that hunger? I don't know. No friends, though. Blue. That's not at all what I would have thought. I don't know. I suppose we see you all curling around campfires, singing old struggle songs. Have you been lonely? I hope the tea's well. Good? Well, I'll look for you next in a more public forum. Yours, Red. P.S. I hesitate to write this, but I've noticed my letters run long. If you'd rather I grow more concise, I can. I don't want to presume. P.P.S. Apologies for the imprecision of my salutation. I think salutation's what Mrs. Levitt calls that. I forgot what name the Strand 8th 19th century Londoners gave that shade of blue on imported porcelain. Would have used it if I'd remembered. P.P.P.S. We're still going to win.
It's so good.
It's so good, isn't it good?
It's
so
so
good.
cute. That's so cute.
Oh, it's beautiful.
All the things.
Such diamonds.
They are. They're so cute. Such sweet.
Reminded of like stories in which people have advanced beyond things like love and hunger and that, and they're both just sort of like so hunger. Yeah. You do that too, don't you?
Too cute.
Hey folks, I'm afraid me and Kitty need to take the dog out, but lovely to see you all.
Lovely to
mate.
see you.
See you,
Lovely
dog.
to see you.
Lovely to see you. Give the dog kisses from us.
Love you guys.
Bye.
I-
Gordon, do you have notes, my darling?
I do, but before I was just going to say I so loved the Atlantis hate. Like there's something so joyful about that, and just that, oh, another feckin' Atlantis. Here we go again. Just that was brilliant. The waxed seal was, of course, the best pun.
So good.
Yeah,
So good.
that was so funny.
So fucking brilliant.
There's just so many puns. Yeah, I feel it needs at least two reread. I can see why you keep rereading it. Like there's a lot going on, and it's punnerific. It's brilliant.
Yeah. There's also, by the way, there are a couple of names in this one. Like I think a place name and then a name of a philosopher that like I hadn't read ahead, so I've possibly massively mangled it.
Can you explain the wax pun to people who don't get puns?
So do you know what a wax seal is on like a letter? Like when like old-fashioned letters used to be sealed with sealing wax?
Yes.
So the whacked seal is a pun on a wax seal. Sealing a letter with a wax seal, and her letter was inside a whacked seal, in that the seal had to be whacked.
What does whacked mean?
Like smashed. Like she whacked the seal with a club.
Oh my god. Okay. I think that all of those like subtlety are like lost on like non-native speakers.
Yeah, I get that's probably a pretty kind of subtle pun.
Okay.
I mean, it went straight over my head too.
Yeah, they tend to break very easily. That's why they use them.
Mm-hmm.
Even recently, they still use them occasionally on ballot boxes and things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the egg and the platypus.
They're so cute. They're so cute. Quirky and lovely. Oh
You can really tell the two different writers, though. I'm really starting to be able to notice the difference between the two writers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's
I like the nicknames that they have for each other. They always like find something related to like whichever colors, like, you know, like cochineal, or I think one was like number 000 like FF, which is probably like the color like Photoshop or something like that.
Yeah, it's the
That is-
for
Yeah.
Wasn't that white? All F's is white.
It wasn't all F's, it was 00000FF.
Yeah.
Which is
no red, no green or blue.
Cochineal
Cochineal and cardinal both red.
Oh my god, is
Are the cochineals the things that you crush up though to get the dye?
Yes.
So-
Yeah.
Is that? I love that it's not just your color; it's the fact that we're going to crush you into pieces because we're still going to.
It's also a bug, like it's like a gross insect, like a parasite.
Yeah, but they used to use it for dyes. They like crushed up for like dyes.
They still do.
They still do.
Yeah. I did get that. It's the same word in French.
Cool.
Well, in that case, it's probably a French word that got stolen.
Yeah, I mean, cochineal sounds pretty French to me.
Yeah. We should say goodbye to the catch-up crew. Catch-up crew, I hope you enjoyed it.
Bye.
Goodbye. We love you, catch-up crew. Goodbye.
Catch-up crew.